Hi, friends, and welcome to All the Things TV with me, Tiffany Jo Baker, where our heart is to help you grip God's grace, use your gifts, and get your goals, even in your mess and mission. Join us now for this episode of Season 2 of the podcast, where we talk about different areas that we may be on the struggle bus, so you can struggle less and succeed more and do all the things you've been called and created to do. Well, hello, y'all, and welcome back to All the Things TV with Tiffany Jo Baker. And today we have a struggle bus episode that is, I think, core to each one of us. And that is the what am I supposed to be doing struggle. Y'all, at the core of Women with a Why and Moms on a Mission, we want to know that we're being who we're supposed to be. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And once you get past those, this is what I've learned in my counseling classes back in the day, the basic human needs that we have of love and acceptance, safety and security. And once you get past those basic human core needs is the purpose. The need to be purposeful, to know our purpose, to make a difference in the world that we're in. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't think of a better person to have on to talk about this than my friend, Cheri Fletcher. Cheri, thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm so excited to be joining you, and I'm excited that I get to learn how to say y'all now, since I just moved to Tennessee and I hear it so much that maybe it'll become natural, and I might even do it right.
It becomes so natural because I've been in Texas only, 21 years.
Oh, wow.
But I know. But when I first got here, I was like, I can't wait to say y'all. And now I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't know what you should say instead of y'all.
Everybody.
Oh, everybody. And I was from up north. So some people say yins.
Oh, wow.
I know. All the things that we get
all the things.
Well, let's just jump into our topic today, the what am I supposed to be doing struggle. And if y'all don't know Cheri, let me tell you a little bit about her. And I like to intro my guests by the way that people close to them might say about them. So Cheri's husband would say that she's a spitfire and spontaneous. Her kids might say she's passionate. Her parents would say she's resourceful. Her clients would say she's convicted and compassionate. And she would say that she's a masterpiece in continual progress. Oh, I love that so much. And I always love what husbands say. I think that one's always the best one. Spitfire and spontaneous. How long have y'all been married?
This is our 30th year in December.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's super exciting.
It is.
Well, since we're talking about purpose, let's start with maybe having you share a little bit about your own journey and how you found your purpose.
That's such a
life.
Yeah, it's crazy. I haven't found my purpose. My purpose has always been here. I just find different ways that God uses it all the time. And I believe that when we find our calling and really grasp our calling, God calls us out on it. Mm. And so a lot of times will speak with women who are in seasons of transition. And now I have found myself in a season of transition. And I think when people say that they need to find their purpose, what they're really saying is they need to find their relevance. Mm. And so I went from living in Seattle for 30 years where I had a thriving youth and women's ministry to Tennessee where I really don't know anybody. And I don't say this vainly, but nobody knows me. Mm-hmm. I can't go into a school and be known as Mrs. Fletch or Mama Fletch anymore. And a lot of times when that happens to us, it hurts, it stings a little bit, and we don't feel relevant. And then we're like, well, what is my purpose now? But I can tell you that even though my roles have changed, my purpose is eternal, and God's going to use the very purpose that he placed in me when I was formed into each role that he's going to bring me into here in my new state. So I'm looking forward to that. And I just know that every day he places me in a role or a situation where I have the opportunity to share a little bit about him. And that is my purpose every day.
Oh, I love that. And I think that's so important to know and to note that since the beginning of time, that God had a plan and purpose for each one of us. And the journey, the faith journey, is the revelation of what that is in each season. And I like it. One of my mentors had said is, what is that thread? Like finding the thread in your story of how God has used you each step of the way. And I came out of the season of being a surrogate after carrying 5 babies for 3 families, being like, okay, God, what is next for me? Like, what could I possibly do? And when he revealed what that thread was and how he used me, even in that role, before that role, and in future roles and current roles, it was as, and I've said this before, in the family of God, some people are hands and some people are feet, and God created me to be a womb. A WOMB, and helping people birth their God-given dreams.
Love that.
So I just love what God has shared with you through this journey. And I think you hit on it, that the transition points are those times in our life where we can hit or miss, because it's that place where we feel like we're floundering, but God's always there saying, girl, I've got you since the beginning.
Yes.
You just keep walking it forth.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about the idea of how a lot of us have misunderstood purpose and the difference of our identity and the titles and roles that we might be? Kind of bring some clarity to that.
Absolutely. Well, the roles that we have in life, the positions and the titles, they bring about a human validation, and that feels really good. In fact, God gives us human validation to know we're doing good and we're reaching others, but sometimes there's crickets, right? And we can tend to maybe stop doing the very thing God's called us to do because we're not getting that human validation. But it's during those times, if we keep doing it, that God's growing us so that he's equipping us for the next step that he has us take. And sometimes the roles that we have, they run out, they run a season, like your role of surrogacy ran a season, but that didn't mean that God was done using you. But we get used to a certain form of that human validation that makes us feel relevant, that makes us feel like we fit in. And when that stops, sometimes we stop and we start looking at ourselves and what am I supposed to do and who am I supposed to be? And one of my favorite verses is Ephesians 2:10. It says, God tells us we're a masterpiece. And I love the word masterpiece, because even if you're not artistic, I am not artistic, but we are all creative. We have different ways that we create and different ways that we do things that God has given us to do. And so if you are making something, even if you're making dinner, it has a purpose before it actually gets consumed and nourishes our bodies. It has a purpose while we're creating it, while we planned it, we shopped for it, we did all these things, and then we presented the dinner to our family to nourish them. And so we are so much more than that to God. We are a masterpiece, but he methodically thought this through. He sat down and thought about us, our eye color, our hair color, our skin color, everything about us, what we were going to do, how we were going to do it. Because if you read the rest of that verse, it says that we're created anew for the plans that he had for us long ago. Yeah. And so nothing is created. An architect does not create a sketch of a home and then leave it to figure out why. God did not create you, did not create me or anybody listening, and then leave us to figure out and find ourselves. He created us with a purpose. And we find that purpose in how we live out those roles and those titles. But I think when I've talked to people and I ask them, okay, if you say, I need to find my purpose, I want you to finish that and say, what is it going to look like when you find it? It's, I'm looking for my purpose. Well, what is the ideal you have in your head? Well, how does that look? You will find that sometimes, and I would say a lot of the times, we have an idea in our mind that our purpose is when we're discovered, right? We have not necessarily, gone viral, but who we are is discovered by somebody. But we were not created on this earth to reflect ourselves, and we were not created on this earth to be discovered. We were created, like you said, to be the hands and the body in the womb of Jesus. We were created to help others discover him. And so if your ultimate goal is how can I help others discover Christ?
Mm.
Then you have found your purpose and you're living that out. And that might be in how you sing and how you write and how you produce and how you cook, even in writing a card to someone. I have friends who just write beautiful cards and they bless me. And that is helping me discover how God uses others. And so it can be simple and it can be big, but it is not to be discovered, it's to help others discover.
Oh, I love that. And I love the point, because something that's real big for me are the little things, the mundane, the small wins. And even when you're talking about making a meal, as women, as moms, as humans, sometimes when we see those things that we have to do day in and day out, and the kids are like, "What's for dinner?" I'm like, "I just fed you."
Yeah.
But I think even of the mom who made the lunch for the boy who had the loaves and the fishes.
Yeah.
That was a mundane task for her, but she made that lunch, gave it to him. He went and sat to hear Jesus, and the disciples used that to create a miracle.
Yeah.
And so even in our mundane moments, our roles, the things that we do over and over again, like you said, when we're reflecting Jesus and pointing people to them, that's when we are most fulfilled and most fruitful.
Yes. That's exactly right.
Oh my goodness, so good. I even think of back in college. Oh my goodness, back in college, I remember my roommate and I went through a period of time where on our full-length mirror, we put up a Post-it note that said, "Who are you trying to impress?" So as we were getting dressed and deciding what we're going to wear when we're in college, like it was this whole thing of, do you want to be seen by what you're wearing and what you're putting on, or do you want God to be seen?
Love that.
Such a crucial message. So, okay, Cheri, why do you think women specifically struggle with knowing and living their true purpose?
That's a deep one. I don't think I know that the enemy is super smart. I mean, we're told he's the craftiest, right? And so I don't believe that it was just a coincidence that it was Eve that he was able to entice and woo to the tree and convince her that she was not good enough. Immediately he tells her, you know what? You're not very smart, and God doesn't want you to be smart. You're not good enough just with who you are. That's why he doesn't want you to eat this fruit, because once you do, then you'll be good. Then you'll be like God. But who you are now is not good enough. And so on all humanity, that's the message that we have received from the enemy, that we are not good enough. And so we do the thing called comparison, where I'm looking at what you're doing and thinking I've got to be like that and get it, do it all right before I can get this good. We're looking at other women that do the same things that we wish we could do. And then that inhibits us from doing what God's called us to do. And so I'm not good at baking, but I don't even enjoy baking. So that's for your own good. And so I'm not going to bake you bread. I have a friend who's she just bakes the most beautiful things. Her cookies are fabulous. Mine are flat. I don't compare myself to her. I don't ever look at her stuff and get jealous, because that's not where God called me. But I will look at writers and podcasters and authors and go, okay, what are they doing that I can't do? Why are they doing that? That's the enemy.
Yeah.
He's going to plant those seeds of not good enough exactly where God has created you to be good enough, because then he can keep you from doing it. And so the very areas that God has a plan are the same areas that the enemy has a plot. And so he will try to keep you from doing it. And I think that's why we struggle.
That's so good. Oh, I love that. Okay, say that again. The very areas.
The very areas where God has a plan.
Yes.
Is exactly where the enemy has a plot.
Ooh, that's so good. Okay, that was worth the price of admission right there. Right there. Well, oh my goodness. Okay, so as we wrap this up, the what am I supposed to be doing struggle. I know you have in the last year or so and are still in some transitional seasons, and that's a place that a lot of us are finding ourselves. What is maybe just a key that you've learned or that you would just encourage if somebody that's watching that's in a transition who might feel like they're floundering? What
Absolutely.
words could you offer them today?
I want them to put the word just in capitals, capital J, capital U, capital S, capital T. When I first quit my job, and started to raise my kids, I was called just a stay-at-home mom. And if you look up the word just, it means not good enough, or, not enough. And so someone will say, well, that's just, a stay-at-home mom. That's just a teacher. That's just a volunteer. That means nothing more than, right? You're nothing more than. But it was during a leverage conference, and that's a speaking conference where I met you.
Yeah.
That I was challenged on that word just, because I had allowed that to become my identity. I had allowed that to become my title, and I added it to myself. If someone said, wow, thank you so much, I'd be like, oh, I'm just this. And I told myself I'm nothing more than. And I was challenged on that word. And I went back to my room and I sat and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this word? Right? It's just tells me I'm nothing. But I looked up the word, and there's another definition. There is a definition that says nothing more than, but there's another definition that says exactly what I need.
Ooh.
And the enemy wants you to believe that you're just you're just a stay-at-home mom. You are just a teacher. You are just a pastor. You are just a whatever you want to put yourself in there. But God wants you to know that you are just you're exactly who he needs you to be. He's exactly who he needs you to be. That's why he was so intentional. God intentionally made you to be just the mom that you need to be, just the wife that God needs you to be today. So take that just a and make it just the, all capitals, and be exactly who God needs you to be today.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I asked you to speak towards all those other women, but apparently I needed to hear that.
I need to hear it every day too.
I'm going to clean up my face and just rest in that. And really, I can't wait to go back and listen to all that you just said, because I was just like, just struck by that. The second definition, the other definition of just. Oh my goodness, Cheri, thank you so much for sharing today. And for people that want more from you and want to know all the things that you're doing, where can they find you?
It's very simple, CheriFletcher.com, and there's a contact tab, and you can contact me there. I love getting emails from you guys, and that's just Cheri@CheriFletcher.com, and that's an email. But you can find my Facebook, my podcast, and other stuff just on CheriFletcher.com.
Oh my goodness. Okay, y'all, check out Cheri. She is amazing. Thank you so much, Cheri. Thank you all for listening and watching today. And I hope that you got some nuggets that can help to fuel your soul and success and do all the things that God has called and created you to do. And we'll see you all next week. Well, friends, thank you for joining us today on All the Things TV video podcast. If you enjoyed our time together and are taking away a nugget that has inspired your soul and success, would you share this episode with a loved one who could use it too? And if you haven't already, take a moment to rate and review the podcast and help me spread soul care and dream care. Until next time, I'm Tiffany Jo Baker, a 3-time surrogate and strategizer who loves to help you birth your God-given dreams. Now go do all the things you've been called and created to do with the grace and gifts God has given you.